Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Sportsbook Review's coverage of La Liga Primera. I'm your host, Martin Green. I have alongside me Ruairidh Barlow from La Liga Lowdown and Junior Browne. We have 10 exciting games to preview this weekend, all looking great. Yesterday on our Serie A show, we had a bit of a Tancredi Palmieri appreciation session, but I think we need to have a Ruairidh Barlow appreciation session because you got all 4 tips right last week, Ruairidh, and at big odds. I think you generated about 4.8 units of profit. So congratulations. What went right for you?
Yeah, well, I was going to say probably, I think we're all fairly big on teams regressing to the mean. So take everything I say today with a note of caution because I'm sure it won't happen again this week.
You never know. You never know. And Junior, you just carrying on with solid winners week in, week out. How did you find last weekend?
Last weekend was interesting. Not that many surprises other than Atletico looking as poor as you can possibly look as a champion. That was a very odd one. But other than that, just trying to keep my head down because, once you get too excited, this business will humble you. So just keeping my head down and trying to pick some winners.
Yeah, we're always just 1 week away from a good old humbling, but let's hope we can keep the good times rolling. If you like what you hear today, please give us a thumbs up. We always appreciate that, and subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. And when you're done listening to us, please do head on over to sportsbookreview.com. You can read a wealth of free content there, picks, analysis. You can compare the odds to find the best prices, read sportsbook reviews, join the forum and talk to your fellow bettors. All sorts going on there, so do head on over and do that. Hello to Fixed Match, hello to Eden Jets. Woo, caught it. We're delighted to have you here, and to Simon Sanju, and to Suresh, and to good old God BDA watching from Bermuda. It's great to have you watching on from Bermuda. Thanks for joining us, and holla to Barca man. Okay, we are going to start with Athletic Bilbao versus Alavés. And what happened with Alavés last? I must admit, I was on Atletico Madrid to win. I thought that would be about the simplest money that we'd make all season. Alavés were bottom of the league, lost 5 games already, coming up against the champions, but they won. Ruairidh, what happened there?
Yeah, I think it was a tale of Atleti. They quite often, and they had been up until that point scoring the late winners, and you sort of thought that Atleti would get better and that they would sort of dominate these games as opposed to the other way and them just not finding those late goals. And so, yeah, it was certainly a surprising result. I think you were probably amongst the sort of 99.99% of people that thought Atleti would win that game. So it wouldn't be too hard on yourself. But Alavés, to be fair, they dug in. They showed a lot of spirit. And I think both of me and Junior highlighted Joselu and how key he is to that Alavés side. And Javi Callejo, the Alavés manager, dropped him, and it came out trumps for him.
Indeed. Thanks, Ruairidh. Have you got a prediction for this game against Athletic Bilbao, or are you on the fence on this one?
I'm staying away from it as sort of a show prediction. I'll tell you why, because initially I actually kind of liked Alavés in this situation because they're just coming off the back of that win. There'll be a lot of confidence, and I think Vitoria-Gasteiz, which is where Alavés are from, is just below the Bilbao in the Basque Country, and so they'll be going up on a Friday night to spoil everyone's weekend. And I think there's certainly sort of a motivation, and they'll be really looking to capitalise on the momentum. But then my good friend's logic and reason put an arm around me and took me aside and said, no, stay away from this, because if you look at Athletic's run, they've not, apart from Elche, they've pretty much won all the games you'd expect them to win and sort of managed draws or defeats against the teams you'd expect them to do so against. And this side, Alavés, is a team you'd expect them to beat. So, yeah, I'm staying clear of this one for me.
Okay, thank you, Ruairidh. Hello to Stephen in Taiwan. Great to have you here. Hello to Habib in Lebanon. Got some Lebanese food, great food and great wine from Lebanon. Great to have you here. Ashley, this is the game that she wanted to talk about. Well, you've just heard Ruairidh give his verdict on it. Odd God BDA is going for Bilbao and under 4.5 goals. I'm also going for Bilbao and under 4.5 goals. Ashley's wondering about pushing it to Bilbao and under 3.5 goals. Wouldn't put you off, Ashley. I think it's going to be a low-scoring win for Athletic Bilbao. I think Alavés could revert to the mean and lose again. What do you think is going to happen in this one, Junior?
Well, first of all, you just got me hungry because I love Lebanese food. If you've never had a shish taouk, you need to change that in your life because it's fantastic. In terms of this game, I was very close to pulling the trigger on Bilbao and both teams to score no. Instead, I've gone for both teams to score no at -175, probably the highest price you'll see me pay all season. I can't stand that price, but it's really a spot where I feel like Alavés, a team, again, still has no open play goals, even though they got that win against Atletico. I feel like these are the type of games where Bilbao absolutely has to win. I have not gone for Bilbao in the result just because I still don't trust their finishing, which is a subject we touched on last week. Nothing about what I saw last week has changed my mind in terms of their subpar finishing. Whereas Alavés, I know that they're terrible at taking opportunities and creating opportunities. And something else that I noticed, they're not very good at defending set pieces, especially corners, something that Bilbao actually thrives at doing. So everything points to Bilbao for me, but instead I've gone for both teams to not score because it's very possible this could just end up in a 0-0 draw, which again, that's fine with me. But yes, that's my play in this one.
Okay, thanks, Junior. Yeah, I'm just hoping that Bilbao sharpen up their finishing skills just enough to scrape a low-scoring win in this one. I think they might just pull it off. Ian's going for a Bilbao and Köln double. I like that because I'm also going for Köln in the Bundesliga. Barcelona thinks over 1.5 team goals for Bilbao, so he's pretty bullish on Bilbao's chances in this one. Hey to Chief Wiggum, who says he's a big Junior Browne fan. There you go. We got Junior on the show. And hello to Kamel. Hello to, where was I just seeing that? Abel's in the house. Hello. Abel is liking under 2.5. Hello to Edom. Great to have you here, guys. We're going to move on to Osasuna versus Rayo. This is another really exciting game. Who had Rayo at 5th in the standings 7 matches into the season? Osasuna have been pretty good, to be fair, as well in the opening weeks of the season. But Rayo, 4 wins and a draw in their last 5 games. Have you been impressed with them, Junior?
You say Rayo? Sorry,
yeah.
you cut out just there. I have, especially because I don't like to run away from my takes. At the beginning of the season, I was absolutely sure they would be in the relegation battle. I still think it's too early to say that they won't be, but they've obviously done enough so far that if they were to end up there, that would have to be considered a huge disappointment the way they've looked so far this season, not only because of the results, but because of the way they've played. Cádiz, a team we'll get to in a little bit, I feel like even though they have minimal amounts of points, even the points they have, they're very lucky to have, whereas Rayo has earned every single point. They've created a ton of chances. Their defense, it's a little sloppy at times, but again, this is a team that finished 6th in the Segunda, and they're fighting amongst the big boys in La Primera, so there's not really much negative you can say about them. I mention every week that Osasuna really grows on me every time I watch them, and I've actually gone for the over 2.5 at +110 here. I think that both teams have shown me enough going forward that I think they both get on the score sheet. And both defenses, while not being bad, aren't particularly great. I think we see a pretty wide open game, especially because it's being played, at Osasuna's home field, which, some people might forget because they're a smaller club. That is one of the toughest places in Spain to go and get a result with the way their fans support the team. So I think we're going to see an exciting game, tons of goals, which La Liga is not really known for these years. But yeah, I've gone for the over in this one.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Junior. Yeah, I can see this being an overs game too, with the way Rayo have been playing. Hello to Kamel in Tunisia. Great to have you here. Habib is going for Rayo, draw no bet. Suresh is going both teams to score. Barcaman's leaning towards Osasuna and both teams to score. What do you think, Ruairidh? Is this where Rayo's good run comes to an end, or can they keep it going?
Yeah, I wouldn't be against both teams to score, and certainly over 2.5 goals again is something that is worth taking a look at, because neither of these teams have shown me sort of reliability in defence enough to be predicting that they'll be winning this game per se. I'm not gonna, I don't think I want to go for an outright result here, but I do think, Rayo have earned the right from us to qualify as one of those teams that you don't want to go against them necessarily, because Iraola has set up his team very well against all the teams that they've faced. And they do have quality. Falcao up front. I think if you want to try and make some money, Falcao scored 3 and 3, and he's not played 90 minutes in any of those games. So it's worth sort of looking at that as a sort of individual bet if you've got a bit of spare change lying around. But I think Rayo and Osasuna, they're two decent teams that you don't quite know if they're going to be consistent enough to sort of say this team is really good and it's going to go on a run and go into Europe, which their form so far would suggest that they could. But there's an inconsistency there. Osasuna, I have to say, I've been pretty surprised because their away record is actually better than their home record so far this season. And like Junior says, it is, in theory, one of the tougher places to go. But they seem to be enjoying their away form a little more. And there's a lot of sort of factors mixed in here that mean that I don't want to predict a result for one side or the other, but I do think there will be goals.
Yeah, interesting you mentioned that, Ruairidh, because I was going to say the same thing. Osasuna picked up all 3 wins on the road, and they're winless in 4 games at home, whereas Rayo's best performances have been at home as well. They've not travelled particularly well. So, for all of those reasons, this is just a straight pass for me. Next up, we have Mallorca coming up against Levante. Mallorca are always pretty solid at home, aren't they? I know they've only lost 1 out of 4 so far at home this season. It is a difficult place, I feel like, to visit. Levante, no wins on the road so far. We'll come back to you, Ruairidh. What do you think is going to happen in this one?
I think this is goals galore. I think, again, these are 2 really unpredictable teams. So I'm going both teams to score and over 2.5 goals in this match, because Mallorca, in theory, they're a team in better form than Levante. They're playing better. They seem to be in a much better state of mind than Levante, who now 14 games without a win. We'll count 1 extra for each week we're here. They are in theory the favourites for this match. But if you look at it, in the last 2 games, they lost to Real Madrid and Osasuna, which there's no shame in. But they also did so with a grand total of, I think, 12 goals in both those games. And they were on the receiving end of 9 of them. So I'm not going to bet on their defence to hold out. And Levante might see this as I'm sure they will. They'll see this as an opportunity to get that first win on the board. And so I think, plenty of goals in this one. I think both teams will be scoring. Both teams are going to go out and try and win this game. So it's well worth a watch. That's my views on that.
No, I like it, Ruairidh. It is hard to imagine Mallorca keeping a clean sheet in this game, the way they've been defending recently. But as I say, I do quite like Mallorca at home, so I think they can get on the score sheet too. What's your take on this one, Junior?
I want absolutely no parts of this game whatsoever. Gun to my head, it's Mallorca or nothing, especially on the island. I just don't. As you guys mentioned, Mallorca is going to be successful, and by successful I mean remain in La Primera by being an organized defense. They've conceded 12 goals in 7 games. Some of those goals, they were a bit unlucky to concede, but again, that's a factor, right? So until I see them tighten up a bit, I can't get involved.
No, I'm with you there, Junior. I'm passing this one. Jojo Mofo's thanking you for the Villarreal +1 tip last week, which won. Indeed, that was a great one. Hello to Ando is from Canada. What's going on? Great to have you. Great to have you here. We've got viewers from all over the world today. I absolutely love it. Okay, Cádiz versus Valencia. interesting game. Valencia, they kind of run out of steam a little bit in recent weeks. They started the season really well, but they're still a pretty tough old nut to crack. Cadiz not really playing great. You've been on Valencia games quite a lot so far this season, Junior. Are you going back in for more?
Oh, I absolutely am. But here's the thing, and I'll admit I'm not as bullish as I would usually be about them because of their injury situation. Without Soler, it's pretty obvious that they're not the same threat going forward, but they're missing more than that. Maxi Lopez, not Maxi Lopez, but Maxi, their striker, is also, I think, missing out due to a card. They still don't have Gajan. So the Russian, whose name escapes me at the moment, who's quite influential as well, Cheryshev, thank you. He's, I believe, a doubt as well. So I'm not saying this is a slam dunk by any stretch of the imagination. This is actually purely, if I'm going to be honest, a Bordalas bet. I just believe that against this side, Bordalas is going to have his team organized enough to nick a result. First of all, I'm going to just say that I absolutely do not believe in Cádiz at all. So I'm trying to think of all the reasons why, and I don't even know where to start. Well, let's just start with some of the points they picked up. They've been quite fortunate to pick up those points. The win that they got against Celta Vigo, in my opinion, that was a situation where Celta just got caught sleeping at the wheel more so than they outright lost that game. They nicked a 97th minute equalizer. As a matter of fact, the two games I'm talking about, Espino scored the winning goal. This is a player who has 2 goals already this season. Their left back, I think he is. He's a fullback, I know that. A player who had 1 goal in the previous 3 seasons. Get the hell out of here with this nonsense. This team does not create opportunities. They do have dangerous strikers, though. Negredo, even though he's up there in age, he's still a professional striker. He can still get things done. And Choco's a pretty big, strong, athletic guy. So he's one guy that I would be worried about. But again, not against a Bordalas backline. Not against the way this team is organized. And I believe with all the creative threats that they're missing going forward, they're going to be even more staunch defensively. I do think my guy Guedes is going to nick a goal or 2 and just get me a result. So I've gone with Valencia Valencia to win and both teams to score no. Sorry, that was much more of a tongue twister than I thought it would be as I was trying to say it. But yes, that's what I went for.
So Valencia to win to 0, which fits in with what Ian is saying, but he's going for Valencia 1-0. Habib's going for Valencia to win. Jojo Mofo's going for Valencia in under 3.5 goals. Barcelona's looking at the cards and the half-time results. So I think everyone's kind of coming at this from the same angle. And Ruairidh, I think you're gonna make it a full house. What you got in this one?
Yeah, I've got Valencia by a goal in this one, and that's a warning sign. Similarly to Alavés, if everyone's on it, then there's a good chance it probably won't happen. But
I don't know. You've got you're going with exactly Ian saying 1-0. Everyone's thinking a narrow win for Valencia. I think it seems like a shrewd pick.
That's just football's magic. That is Sheriff Tiraspol beating Real Madrid in the Champions League for you. But yeah, I think there's more than enough logic and reasons for us to back Valencia here. They had a rough week. Yeah, they were against Sevilla, Real Madrid, and Athletic, and they only picked up a point out of those 3. But like you say, the injuries, there was tiredness to factor in, and it's a team that is very much playing on the margin itself. If you look at their wage cap, just the La Liga released the figures of wage caps this week, they are bottom of the La Liga table, which just tells you not only the financial bother they're in, but also the sort of tightness that this squad is operating on. They can't afford to lose many players. But as you say, Cádiz, they're not in good form, and they're not keeping teams out. And when Cádiz are conceding goals, they don't have the power to sort of overpower teams at the other end. And Álvaro Cervera, the Cádiz manager, highlighted this. he sounded royally peed off, so to speak, in his press conference, saying that we don't have the players to be conceding goals like this. And yeah, I think Valencia, they all have just enough. They'll have had a week's rest. Bordalas will be keen to sort of get back on track, and yeah, I think there's just enough in this side to show a little bit more than Cádiz.
Okay, thanks, Ruairidh. It's my favourite time of the show. Let's all talk about what Ronald Koeman's been up to over the past week, because it just goes from bad to worse for this guy. That is for Esteban. That is Atletico Madrid versus Barcelona is the next game that we're going to talk about. The champions, Atletico, coming up against the team Barca that ran them pretty close for the majority of last season, but kind of fell apart at the end, and then it all went wrong. Lost a load of players in the summer, financial crisis. It's just an absolute disaster, Ruairidh. I was on, I had Benfica draw no bet in midweek at -110. Easy money. Just bet against Barcelona at the moment. They're a terrible, terrible team with all right, let's go. Tell me what your thoughts are on Ronald Koeman.
Well, Ronald Koeman, we were just discussing this before we came on air, and saying that Ronald Koeman in his press conference told the journalists that you're speaking as if I'm already gone, which kind of sums up the fact that Ronald Koeman knows he's gone, and Barcelona know he's gone. Everyone in the media knows he is gone. He opened his press conference with a famous phrase, and it was "Buenos dias," good morning to all my friends in the press, which is also the famous phrase that Louis van Gaal opened one of his last press conferences with before he was sacked. And so this is only going in one direction, and it's hard to see how a team can mentally be in the right place. There was reports coming out that before that Benfica game, none of the players knew what system they were playing until 2 hours previous to kick off, which is pretty damning.
It's lucky not to lose.
It's inexplicable, and if we're going to look at this in terms of the match, it's just incredibly hard to see any way that this team comes out with anything against Atleti in the Wanda. My only sort of small inkling of an argument is that Atleti themselves have, as we were talking about, they keep leaving games late against AC Milan. It was right in the deep into stoppage time that Luis Suarez converted a penalty, and they managed to lose to Alavés last weekend. So there is a small argument to say that Atleti will be their own worst enemies, but I can't see anything else but an Atleti win here. I'm not sure how many goals it will be by, but it just has to be an Atleti win.
Yeah, Atleti have been poor, really poor. Like, terrible performance against Alavés, and I thought they were pretty shocking in the Champions League. They were quite fortunate to see AC Milan go a man down and still couldn't capitalise. Like you say, nicked the late winner. So I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm more betting against Barcelona than I am betting on Atletico Madrid. I've got to go for an Atletico win. Junior, what do you think of developments at Barcelona in recent days?
Everything that you guys have said, pretty much covers it, except I thought that if there was ever a nail in the coffin in this, Koeman situation, how are you subbing off the person who at this point is probably a symbol of the club, the only symbol of the club left? How are you subbing off PK in the first, 30 minutes of a match? I don't know if that angered PK, but, in my experience, no player enjoys being subbed off in the first half unless it's red card related. So I'm not really too sure what was going on there, but, PK, I mean, obviously anyone who follows football, I don't need to mention PK's status, at Barcelona. Not only is he a local boy, his grandfather was the president, and realistically, if I had to bet money, doesn't it kind of seem like PK, especially with the financial power that he has now, isn't he kind of on his way to being on the Barcelona board? That's the guy you want to upset? I just think Koeman has completely lost the plot. I was in on Benfica in midweek. I'm only not on this because I lost last week with Atleti, and 2 of the wins that I picked up with Atleti were as a result of 90th minute goals, or injury time goals. So I've ridden my luck with Atleti as far as it's going to go for now. I need to see some consistency before I can even come close to investing in either one of these teams.
Okay, thanks, Junior. Yeah, I don't know if I'm the only one that's actually going for the. Oh no, Ruairidh's on Atletico as well, so we're both going for Atletico. Just quickly, Ruairidh, I just wanted to ask you, being a representative of La Liga Lowdown and being a passionate La Liga fan, obviously Real Madrid lost to Sheriff, Barcelona absolutely battered by Benfica. There's a lot of people now saying that La Liga's a bit of a not one of the top leagues anymore. It's not that long ago that it was the best league by far, with Real Madrid and Barcelona at their peak. Every other league looked up to La Liga. What can we say about the status of La Liga in the world now? Do you think that's a fair reflection, or do you think there's still enough quality within this league to merit its status as at least one of the top two leagues in the business?
I think it's a very good question, and I think we're talking about the European results in many ways here, and that's obviously the best measure of any league. But if we do sort of extrapolate that out a little and think, well, Man United scraped by Villarreal at home in the Champions League too, and Villarreal frankly should have got results there, and it's their own fault, as two of their players admitted in the post-match. Betis, they're still competing in Europe. Real Sociedad, they drew 1-1 with Monaco in the Europa League, but did look much the better side for most of it. I think La Liga is certainly the top three teams. They're not at the heights that they were. There's no bones about that. And if you are looking for people to win the Champions League, none of those three for me come close this season. If we want to, I think the league as a whole is perhaps as good as it's ever been. The top three sides themselves are not. I mean, we're talking about historic era of domination where Barcelona won 2 Champions Leagues, Real Madrid won 3, and yeah, I don't think we're going to see anything quite like that for a long time. But we still have a league which Kylian Mbappe supposedly wants to go to, and a league in which I think Barcelona, once they do recover some financial pull, they will be back on their feet. How long that takes, we don't know. But it's not at the top of the tree. I will admit that. But there's also plenty there to suggest that they will climb back up a little bit.
Okay, good answer, Rory. Thank you. Okay, on that note, well, yeah, it's interesting that you say there's a lot of quality across the league now, and I guess that's what a lot of actual Spanish football fans want. They want to see a more competitive league that's not just this duopoly, or perhaps with Atletico sort of getting involved as well. So, no, it should be good. It should be interesting from a betting perspective, and as I mentioned at the start, we're doing well. We're all in profit so far this season. So let's hope we can keep it going. Next up, we've got Elche versus Celta de Vigo. And Elche lingering just above the relegation zone. Celta kind of back in business a little bit. 2 wins on the bounce. Not the most Celta-like performances, Junior. Winning to 0. Have you been surprised by the clean sheets that Celta have kept in recent weeks?
Yes, I have, but they still don't convince me. Yes, I just can't get involved with them yet. This looks like one of those games where I should be getting involved. Last week, I thought that they played well, but Granada were also quite poor. So I'm still needing to see more. That's 2 consecutive clean sheets on the bounce. But again, when you look at the teams they've played, Cádiz, Levante, and Granada, okay, talk to me when they play Sevilla next week, and then maybe I might jump back on the Celta Vigo train. Don't love that Santi Mina is a doubt for this game. He's probably, other than Iago Aspas, been their best player. Aspas has not been at his best, but he hasn't been bad in the sense that he's the one who gets the most of the quality chances, and I don't believe that's because they overfeed him, which some clubs are guilty of with their best player. He's just such a great player, such a cerebral player, that he always finds himself in the right place at the right time. And once he finds his finishing boots, I think that this team, the rest of the squad, will follow, and the results will start to come. They couldn't really start off the season any more poorly than they did, so I think they've turned the corner. Still need to see a little bit more, and these are the type of matches they absolutely have to win, especially with the way they started the season.
Yeah, I've passed this one. There's nothing really grabbing me. I'm leaning towards Celta, but I find them inconsistent. I'm not overly convinced yet. What do you think, Rory?
Yeah, it's leave this one alone again for me as well. Elche, yeah, okay, they've not been great, but they are a bit of a different prospect at home, and Franis Escribá, I think, really rides off that a lot. They could do with a result, so that sort of it's a bit of a trap game for Celta in that sense. And yeah, if you look at the teams that they were picking up those wins against, they certainly against Granada as well, they got a late winner, but and they were struggling against Granada. They were struggling to break them down. And Elche will present a better, more organised version of what Granada were for me, and will offer a bit more threat as well. So, yeah, Celta, they've got work to do. They could win this game, but by no means is it something that I expect to happen. And for that reason, I think this game is a bit of a toss-up and likely to end in a stalemate. But yeah, I'm leaving it.
Yeah, it could be a stalemate. Barcelona's going for draw at half time, which sounds, quite interesting. I think it could be quite cagey opening 45 in that one. Okay, we're over to another Catalan team playing a Madrid team. It's Espanyol versus Real Madrid. And Real Madrid are going to be desperate to bounce back from that shocking result. I'm now just starting to wonder if Sheriff Tiraspol are just amazing, because they destroyed Dynamo Zagreb in qualifying. They beat Shakhtar. They beat Real Madrid at the Bernabeu. Even still, it's an embarrassing defeat, Rory, for Real Madrid. Do you think they're gonna bounce back with a win in this game against Espanyol?
Yeah. Call me a conspiracy theorist, but I mean, as a Barcelona fan, Real Madrid rarely go to Espanyol and don't walk away with all 3 points. That is probably because Real Madrid are a much better team than Espanyol throughout the years, but it seems infrequent that any other result happens. And yeah, Real Madrid are desperate to get back on form. They struggled against Villarreal last weekend, which I think is more of a fair reflection of them than the Sheriff game.
Yeah,
but equally, there's still a little bit of me that says that Benzema and Vinicius are due a performance here, and Espanyol will provide the perfect victims in a way, because they are based on sort of defensive solidity and organisation, but they're still conceding enough goals to suggest that they're far from an impregnable force.
Yeah, it's like 1.7 or something on Real Madrid to win this game. You're rarely going to see those sort of odds on Real against the newly promoted team. Does that tempt you in any way, Junior?
It does not, but I do agree with most of what you guys have said. I'm still in the camp of Real Madrid has to regress back to the mean. Obviously, this is a match that they historically usually get a result. And Espanyol, for those of you, investing in Real Madrid in this one, they're going forward in the last two matches. They've looked pretty dreadful. Now, I don't really hold that against them in the previous match to Sevilla, just because Sevilla's looked like probably the most organized defensive squad in the league this season. But even against Alavés at home the previous week, they were pretty bad. They didn't really create any quality chances that I can remember. So if you're not going to get goals against Real Madrid, that's obviously going to be, that's obviously the case against anyone, but in the form that Real Madrid has been in, minus their Champions League, what do you want to call that? Misstep? It's looking pretty doubtful that Espanyol can pick up a result here.
Yeah, misstep's a nice way of putting it. They're quite histrionic in the Spanish press. They'll be calling it like catastrophe or something, I imagine, or like disaster.
They love the novellas in Spain, so yeah.
I always enjoy looking at those headlines the day after those bad results. Okay, we're going to move on to Villarreal versus Real Betis. As you mentioned, both of you, I think, mentioned Villarreal unlucky to come away with a defeat against Man City. I did bet on Villarreal plus 1.5. I didn't think they would lose by many if they did lose. And they're a tough nut to crack, but they're coming up against the Real Betis team that have been that have been very impressive going forwards, and they're flying high in 7th place. This looks like a really tough one to me. What do you think, Junior? Have you got anything on this one, or is this best to just pass?
Yeah, I was so close to taking Betis plus 260, but I mean, at some point you think Villarreal has to get it going. Also, in terms of a midfield and a backline that they can get at, Betis is right there for the taking. They're a good quality side, but their defense is clearly the weak link of their squad. Their midfielders aren't the most robust, is the word that I'll use. We've mentioned several times on the show that Sergio Canales barely ever plays more than about 60, 65 minutes in any match, which I think is actually the right strategy for them in order to maximize his efficiency while also picking up results. That being said, Villarreal certainly has enough to get a result, but luck is just absolutely not on their side. So call me, I guess, a little bit silly, but a team that's just this unlucky, that just can't pick up results when it seems like they should, I can't possibly invest in them. So this is a pass for me.
Okay, thanks, Junior. Yeah, I mean, Villarreal have had a couple extra days to rest, but it does seem like they had a much tougher midweek game. The Betis didn't really seem to exert themselves too much against Ferencváros. What would you say, Ruairidh, if you were going to go for something on this one?
For me, I think this is it's a tricky one because, like Junior says, Villarreal have arguments to sort of win this game, and I think it is sort of a tie. Sorry, 2 seconds. I'm just making sure I don't run out of battery here. I think it's a tie that Villarreal have the logical reasons to win this match, but Betis, they have something about them. They have a real sort of personality to this team, and Pellegrini highlighted that. They said that this is a team that perhaps shouldn't be winning the games it does, or perhaps it gets over the line when it shouldn't all the time, and that's the impressive part of them. So I don't want to bet against them. Sergio Canales, as you say, he's such a big part of everything they do, and he's such a major factor in whatever game he plays in. But they do have Nabil Fekir, and if he can sort of get on the score sheet, I think it might be a struggle for Real Betis, for Villarreal, because they just don't score goals. And so it's one that I'm going to stay away from. Betis will be tired from the Europa League. Villarreal will be frustrated and disappointed after that Manchester United game. And I think both of their European fixtures will sort of weigh heavy on this tie, and it makes it unpredictable in a way for me.
Yeah, agree. I wouldn't really want to be betting against Betis when they've only lost once all season, especially when it's Villarreal who have only won once. But yeah, I could see them cancelling one another out. I wouldn't put anyone off a draw. What's Francisco Juarez is going for Betis, double chance and under 4.5 goals. Like it. Ian Messina's going for the Alex Classic. Francisco just thinks easy Betis win. Wow, banker. That's very bold. Maybe I'll take another look at it. Okay, we're going to move on to the very worst team in La Liga. It's Getafe, who are just having a horrible, horrible season. Bottom of the table, only 2 goals scored, 12 conceded. The worst goal difference, obviously the worst point tally because they've got 0. Things are looking pretty grim for Getafe, Ruairidh. Is there any way they can avoid relegation, do you think, this season?
I think there is, actually, because their squad is better than these results have suggested to me. But they do need to sack Michel and get a different manager in to see some of the potential that they do have. This game, I actually think that it's not impossible that they get a result. But everything is against them. It seems unlikely. Real Sociedad, as I mentioned, they drew 1-1 against Monaco, but they are down to the bare bones, which is the only reason that I sort of stayed away from this game, because they had Mikel Oyarzabal coming off and a player coming on for his debut against Monaco in Europe. So that really shows the sort of the injury crisis there is really deep. And I think when you have that many young players in a team, as good as Alguacil has been as sort of gelling them together, making sure they're fitting in and performing their roles. If you have that many young players together, there is always an air of inconsistency about a team. And for that reason, I'm staying away from this game. Otherwise, I would have been very much on Real Sociedad and thinking this would be an easy enough victory for me.
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit worried now. So who do you think's gonna? So we've got Januzaj. Januzaj's probably going to play. Is Porto? Is Porto fit?
That's the saving grace. They've got Porto, Oyarzabal, and Januzaj, so that's the front three. But as soon as one of them goes down, then you're down to sort of players with 2 free appearances in the bank. Although Barrenechea may also be back, and he is a very exciting prospect, I must say.
I still think they can have enough to win this game. I'm just so unimpressed with Getafe. Are you going for anything on this one, Junior?
No, I do really like Sociedad. Sociedad actually looked very good. I just didn't like the price, which is why I didn't get involved. I'm not going to claim I predicted this, but I'm going to remind you of something I said. The very first bet I made on this show in episode 1, I said, I'm taking Valencia because of a quote from Michel, and it was, this season, I want to play more open, attractive football. And I said to myself, with the squad that you have, with the way that Bordalás got results with the squad that you have, are you sure that that's what you really want to do? And here we are a few weeks later, and they're at the bottom of the table. So I think that just speaks for itself. Not really sure what cachet Michel has as a coach to even really, make that proclamation. Again, I'm not completely blaming him. I'm just saying, in all sports, and I'm sure you guys can relate to this, me personally, I can't stand coaches that come in and say, you're going to play my style regardless of personnel. Shouldn't you adapt your style somewhat to the personnel you have? So I don't really, I'm not going to say that it's Getafe can't overturn other fortunes. I'm going to say they probably should look for another manager if they want to get that done. One of the other reasons that I'm not on this match is that Sociedad just have too many injuries. Isaac, I think, is missing. David Silva is out. Quite a few important players are out. So even though they've looked good, no offense to your boys, Martin, but they aren't that talented that I'm going to blindly bet them without some of their key talisman.
No, they're not that talented. I agree with you there. I mean, they haven't got much depth, like Ruairidh mentioned. They've got a good starting 11 if everyone's fit, but very rarely they are. It's just a huge price for me when you've got them sitting second in the table, 5 wins out of 7, up against the bottom club that are really lacking confidence. But yeah, I agree with all the points. Yeah, you should try to adapt the style slowly but surely over time. Like Graham Potter at Brighton, come into a very defensive team managed by Chris Hughton, made little slow tweaks here and there, and evolved into a team that plays attractive football. But you can't just try and do it overnight like he has at Getafe. It's just doomed to fail, and I think they could be doomed to fail once again this weekend. Mouse Calla says, I'm wrong. The worst team in La Liga is not Getafe, it's Barcelona. Bit harsh, but it's probably hard to disagree with you there. Francisco's going for Sociedad and under 3.5 goals. Barcelona thinks Real Sociedad to win straight up. Paul's stoked for the basketball season, Junior. Should be a great one. What about them? What about them Nets? Well, who's gonna win the basketball season, Junior? Who's gonna be crowned NBA? You can't say, can you? Because there's too many injury problems and stuff.
Yeah, I had a massive bet on. Actually, I had a bet with one of the co-hosts of the show, $1,000 bet on Brooklyn to make the finals, and I was one Kyrie Irving sprained ankle away from collecting that money. So it's kind of tough. Health plays such a major part. In a sport, obviously, where there are only 5 players on the court at the same time.
Yeah, you talk about Real Sociedad with 11 that you've got to worry about, especially with the Nets. There's 3 main players, and if one of them goes, it's all gone. Anyway, back to football. Soccer. Granada versus Sevilla is our final game, and we mentioned Sevilla looking like, I think you mentioned them, Junior, as the most organised defensive team in the league. The stats back that up. They've only conceded twice all season. They've, they're unbeaten. They're unbeaten in 2 Champions League games. They're unbeaten in La Liga. I can't see Granada beating them. Granada are vying with Barcelona and Getafe for the title as the worst team in La Liga this season. We've got to go for Sevilla, right? Are you going for Sevilla?
I say this all the time. I hate to pass up a sale, and Sevilla at minus 138. to me, qualifies the sale. Sorry for that noise. Someone's buzzing my door, so I'll be very quick before they buzz again. Yeah, I've gone for Sevilla. Not only have they conceded the fewest goals, from the matches that I've watched and just the research that I've done, they don't really even concede chances. They just do not allow quality chances going the other way, and they have so much quality going forward that it's hard for me to pass this up. I know they have a few injury issues, but their squad depth, to me, is strong enough that I've backed them at -138 here.
Yeah, that's good. I must say, I actually got -125 on them yesterday, and yeah, you can still get -125 if you really shop around. But Ruairidh, you're taking it one step further. What are you going for in this game?
Yeah, Sevilla -1 for me. This is a freebie almost. Granada, it's interesting you were talking about Bordalas and trying to change styles, and that is the great debate at Granada as well now, because Robert Moreno has come in and he is trying to employ the juego de posición, which is just like the positional play and essentially what Barcelona based their success off. And Robert Moreno also, apart from that, I think I mentioned this last week, that he just doesn't convince. He can be a little bit sort of abrupt or blunt in his press conferences too. And you can kind of tell that he gets that from Luis Enrique, but he doesn't have the charisma to pull it off, or he doesn't have the sort of, cachet, as Junior mentioned with Michel, to be that sort of character and for the players to buy into that. And I think the most damning thing is that there was a poll done by I don't know if it was a journalist or a Granada fan account asking whether they should get rid of Robert Moreno. And one of the Granada players said yes in the poll. And he didn't reveal who, but that's pretty damning. So this is a game in which Granada are going to have to be fighting for their manager's job, and I think it's an easy spot for them to sack him in if he loses this game. And by the looks of it, the players don't believe in him. So Sevilla -1, they're just too organised, too efficient, and they will put Granada away.
Yeah, now's the time to be firing him, isn't it? Before the international break, get a new manager in, give him a couple of weeks to try and plot a route to recovery. Okay. Oh, Francisco's going for the Alex Classic. Oh, interesting. That's both teams to score on over 2.5 goals. Quickly, Oud Adhikari saying, what's the difference between the Asian line, -1.5, -2, and only 2? So there's a difference between a European handicap and an Asian handicap. If you go for -1 European handicap and the team wins by 1 goal, it's a push and you get your money back. If it's European handicap, they have to win by 2 or more goals. So -1 European handicap equates to -1.5 Asian handicap, whereas -2 Asian handicap, you get a push if they win by 2 goals. -2 European handicap, they need to win by 3 or more goals. With Asian handicap, you can do 0.25s and 0.75, so you can get a half win and a half loss. If you look it up, you can see a chart. Just Google Asian handicap chart and you can see exactly what the payout is in each case. Okay, thanks, guys. Esteban, please bring up the picks and we'll read them out. Okay. I'm going for Athletic Bilbao and under 4.5 goals at -120. Straight Sevilla win at -125. Should give you -125 as well there, Junior, because it is available still. I've got Atletico at -104, and I've got a straight win for Real Sociedad at +130. Ruairidh.
Yeah, Mallorca Levante is going to be a big party of goals on the island, and both teams are going to get involved in it. So +150 for me there. Atleti, they will win this game. I can't see another way that it goes. So -104, I think is fairly safe. Sevilla, I think it's -101, and they're fairly strong favourites at +240 for -1.5. But yeah, they're going to beat Granada, I think, as well. Valencia by a goal against Cádiz at +300 is really nice. I don't quite know why that's so good, but I think you should get on it.
Nice. Junior.
Yeah, I've got Bilbao, Alavés, both teams to score no. I just feel like Bilbao the goals are still a bit of a struggle for them. And Alavés, like I mentioned before, 7 matches, no goals in open play. Osasuna, Rayo, the opposite. I think both teams have goals in them, and while their defenses aren't terrible, they do have the tendency to concede. And I love that Ruairidh and I are somewhat aligned on Valencia Sevilla. I've got Valencia to 0 at plus 260. I'll call that the Bordalas special, and Sevilla at minus 138. I just don't think I don't see any way that they don't pick up the results here the way that they've looked so far this season, especially at the back.
Okay, thanks very much, guys. Brilliant. Just quickly for Ian, who's asking for a parlay. He's asking for a parlay for the weekend. So, Ruairidh, what's your favourite out of all them?
My favourite, I'm gonna have to go with Sevilla. Yeah, like I say, it's just Granada is they're on fire and they're waiting to get rid of their manager. So I think similarly to Barcelona, who are doing the same thing, but Sevilla are more likely to do it in style.
Okay, thanks. And Junior, apart from Sevilla, what's your favourite out of your other three?
It would have to be the over in the Osasuna Rayo. I just think that both teams, neither one of these teams, from what I've watched so far, come to defend. They come to play. They actually come to play football. And I think with that, on tap, I think both teams get on the score sheet, and we see an exciting back and forth contest.
Okay, great, thanks. So we've got Osasuna Rayo over 2.5 goals, and we've got Sevilla at straight win for Sevilla. So you get good odds on that for a two-team parlay. Brilliant, thanks guys, and thanks everyone for watching. It's been great having you all here from all over the world watching on. Been fantastic. Thanks for all your tips and picks that you've been giving in the comments, and thanks to the 29 of you that have given us a thumbs up. Everyone else, come on, give us a thumbs up. It's Friday. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, head on over to sportsbookreview.com after this and read all about it. Thanks to Junior. Thank you to Ruairidh. Have a great weekend, guys, and we look forward to seeing you soon.